Welcome back, my podcasters. First and foremost, I wanted to let you guys know thank you for coming back to Life Unfiltered with Jo. I really appreciate the support. I've received lots of nice messages, a lot of supporting messages that this would be a good outlet for me, and they're excited to hear what I have to say in my future episodes. So I'm excited. Today, I want to let you guys know that my YouTube link will be below because I'm going to try recording this episode for the first time and putting it on YouTube so you have a visual and audio. Now, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Google or Apple, by all means, continue listening if you're driving and you can't watch the video or the visual. But if you would like a visual, go ahead and jump over to my YouTube where you get that pleasure. Because I'm great to look at, right? No, I'm just playing. Okay, so first and foremost, housekeeping things. As we know, I am an Amazon affiliate. So let's go over some products that I use before bed every single night that you can purchase for yourself on Amazon. So first is the Torocco foot cream. It's handheld like little lotion bottle, and it's called foot cream, and it was originally made in Sicily, and it's just a nice foot mask before, your man wants to suck your toes. I'm just kidding. I'm not into that. But if that's you, by all means, do you, boo. Anywho, so make sure your feet are nice and smooth and they're ready to go for whatever you want them to be smooth for. I like this foot cream. This is actually the first foot cream that I've ever tried, and I'm satisfied with it. So if you're satisfied with something, why change it up, right? This foot cream is going for $20 on Amazon, and my link will be below. The second thing I do to prepare for myself and a good night's rest is I use the brand This Works by This Works, and it's called Stress Check Sleep Spray. So that's kind of a tongue twister to say, but 97% of the people who have used this actually said that they have slept better. One thing I really like about this product is it is vegan. Now, I am not vegan. However, I do know that whenever I use makeup products or lotions or things that are vegan, I actually do notice that they work a little bit better and my body reacts to them a little bit better. So that's pretty cool. And this product you just spray, and it's all used with essential oils such as lavender, chamomile, and patchouli, and it helps you just get into that zone for a good night's rest. Now that is going for $41 on Amazon. And so that's all what I had to say today for a little housekeeping. So let's review the last few episodes. So the first was my intro, and I appreciate you guys coming for that intro. A little bit boring, just getting to know who I am. Last week's episode was on eating disorders. Some of you may have skipped that episode just because it was a trigger warning, and I am not offended by that. Your mental health matters. And then today we're going to go into being a bodybuilder, what that community looks like, what is bodybuilding, and my journey with that, and why I decided to exit that hobby and never look back. So before we get started, per usual, get in the zone with this beat and let's get started. All right, welcome back. So if you're on the YouTube today, I have my camera kind of set up weird because I don't know if I should be looking at the camera and speaking to the camera, or if I just should be looking forward and looking how I normally look when I do a podcast. So whatever you get, you get. If you're watching the visual, you'll see I have my phone in front of me, I have my microphone in front of me, I have my background. I do have a notebook in front of me, and I want to let you guys know that these episodes are not scripted. I do not read from anything. However, I do have bullet points of things that maybe I want to touch on or topics of the bodybuilding or whatever I'm talking about that day, so I can have like a little note, like don't forget to mention this. But anyways, I want to jump right into this episode, but I do need to take another moment of silence today. I want to say it was last week. When I'm recording this, it was last week. We had, I believe it was 13 U.S. individuals die in Afghanistan for fighting for our country. And we need to take the silence for Marine Corps Lance, and his name was David Espinoza. He was only 20 years old in Texas. My prayers are going out for these families. My heart is breaking. From Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole L. Lee, she was only 23. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Noss, 23. Marine Corps Corporal Hunter Lopez, he was only 22 years old. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley J. McCollum, 20 years old. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Dylan R. Barola. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nikui, 20 years old. From the Marine Corps, we have Humberto A. Sanchez, 22 years old. Marine Corps, Jared M. Schmitz, 20 years old. Navy, we have Maxon W. Soviek, 22 years old. From the Marine Corps, we have Dagan W. Page, 23 years old. And we just need to take a moment for silence, for fighting for our country, for us, what they're going through, what their families are going through, what they went through, what others are going through to fight for us. And I just want to give that silence for them at this time. Alrighty, thank you guys for doing that for the ones who have died for us and what's going on in our world today. But anywho, back to being a bodybuilder with Life Unfiltered with Jo. And let's change these gears a little bit. I know that was really sad, but let's change these gears to tune in to what I have to say. So, a little bit of a trigger. Last week, like I said, my episode was on eating disorders, and so a lot of people thought that I loved fitness. A lot of people thought that it was my hobby, I would be so good at it, this, that, and the other. And although that is true now, and it was always true, I took advantage of the fitness industry for the simple fact of me wanting to be smaller and having that eating disorder and body dysmorphia issue. So when I became a bodybuilder, actually, it wasn't for the sole purpose of me enjoying the hobby and me wanting to be a bodybuilder. It was actually for the sole purpose of covering up my eating disorder and giving me a purpose to be on an eating schedule, giving me a purpose to not eat, giving me a purpose to watch my calories, giving me a purpose to go work out because I had to, because now I'm in a competition. Now I have to perform in front of many people, and I have a physique to make sure that I am at to be able to place. So I used bodybuilding to cover that up, and it wasn't an easy journey. And I don't know if I was lying to myself at that time that I loved it, or if that thought came to me after of, hey, this is why you did this. But anywho, so as an adult, I decided in the midst of my eating disorder, I want to be a bodybuilder. So the steps in that, if anyone's looking to be a bodybuilder, I think the first step to look at is what's your reasoning? Because my reasoning was not okay. My reasoning was not good enough. And I don't want anyone to go through that journey with the mindset that I had. Now, if it's truly your passion, truly your outlet, truly something you enjoy, another thing to make sure your mindset is healthy around food. There's a lot of restrictions in bodybuilding, and you have to make sure that you are mentally okay to go through that process. So let's talk about what that process actually looked like. So the first thing, when you decide, I want to compete and be a bodybuilder, you need to find a coach. Now, again, I do recommend not finding a coach the way I did, although she was awesome. You have to be very, very careful. There are coaches out there that are looking to just get your money and to get something in their pocket. They're money hungry, and they don't care. They don't care about what you look like. They don't care about the aftermath of the show. They don't care about any of that. And that's not a coach that you want to go for. So make sure when you're looking for a bodybuilding coach that you are looking for someone who actually cares about your well-being and your health. So when I found my coach, she was just at this random gym that I went to. I didn't research anyone else. And she said, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Now, when she first asked me, when do I want to compete? My first thought was, well, right away. I want to get ready and I want to compete now. And she obviously did what the customer wanted. And I don't think that was wrong of her in a sense. But also I do wish that she would have taken a step back maybe and said, you know, bodybuilding comes in phases. So another thing about bodybuilding is you have a bulking phase, you have a cutting phase, and then you have a reverse dieting phase. So a bulking phase is when you eat in a caloric surplus, so you're gaining weight, but you have to gain that weight to gain muscle. So I had to go through the bulking phase and the cutting phase in a very, very, very short period of time, which is not recommended. And I wish she would have said, like, hey, this time span that you're looking at, it's obviously doable. You can do whatever you want, but it's not recommended. But anywho, so I started with this bulking phase. Now, this phase was probably the scariest coming from my background, but in my head, I knew the end result. I knew the end result would mean I'm going to be at a 3, 4, 5% body fat, single digit body fat number. And so I said, okay, if my coach says so, I'm going to do what she says because I want that end result. So I started bulking, and what bulking looked like to me was a very cut out meal plan. Now, in today's world, if you were to sign up for being a bodybuilder, you have this thing called If It Fits Your Macros. Now, If It Fits Your Macros is a very flexible dieting plan, but I did like the old school dieting plan, which means every single day you're eating the same thing at once. So during my bulking phase, I would wake up and I would have oatmeal with some syrup in it. I think it was like 5 egg whites. There was a lot of rice. There was a lot of coconut oil. There was a lot of sweet potatoes. I don't really remember eating much else. And that's the thing with, like I said, with bodybuilding in the old school way is you literally ate the same thing every single day and you did not have a choice. So that was my bulking phase. What this also consisted of was lifting 5 times a week, around an hour, and then you were good to go. So then you get into the cutting phase. Now, the cutting phase is when you start to lose the fat on top of your muscles to allow your muscles to show what you have built in your bulking phase. Now, remember, my bulking phase wasn't very long. It was not long at all. It was very short, and I did not build a lot of muscle. So she started me on this cutting phase, and in this cutting phase, I ate tons of ground turkey, a ton of asparagus, a ton of fish, coconut oil, and it was every single day. And I remember at one point she was having me eat, I think, tilapia like 4 times a day, asparagus 4 to 5 times a day, and egg whites in the morning every single day. And it got to the point where this is so gross, but I ate so much fish that literally I smelled like fish. And like not in like a gross like hygiene way, but literally like my pores were releasing the smell of fish because I was intaking it probably at a dangerous level at this point. But that's what she said I had to do, so I did it. In the cutting phase also, you have a lot of two-a-days. So 2-a-day workouts would mean that I would have to get up in the morning and I would have to do 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour of cardio every single day before I ate. So I would hit the gym at like 5 in the morning, get my cardio in, be to work by 7, eat my designated meal plan all day. Then after work, I would go to the gym again, do my lifting portion, do more cardio, and then go home, eat whatever I had on my meal plan, go to bed, get up, and do it all over again. Now, during this time of my life, and anyone who goes through this, your mind is trialed and pushed and everything in between. Like, it's really a mind game. That's what it is. Your mind, you have to be strong in your mind more than you have to even be strong in the sport itself. Because when you're on prep, that's what it's called, on prep. That means prepping for your show. So when you're on prep, you don't have opportunities to go out to eat with your friends. You don't have opportunities to eat a slice of cake even if it's your birthday. You don't have those opportunities. And I remember going camping with my family, and I had to meal prep all my meals and sit around the campfire while people are making s'mores or eating hot dogs over the fire, eating steak over the fire, whatever it is. And here I am with my microwave dish of tilapia or ground turkey and some sweet potatoes. And that's all I got. And the competition world, again, if it's your hobby and that's truly what you want to do, more power to you. But just know you have to say no to other opportunities, and you have to say no to essentially having fun with your friends or your family or whatever that may be. And that was very, very hard, and I wasn't expecting that. But then again, like I told y'all, my motive, so I knew if I do this, I'm going to be small. If I do this, my body fat percent is going to go so down. I'm going to be so small, blah, 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 blah. And another hard thing that looking back on is my coach also didn't tell me that I could have things such as like Diet Coke or flavored water or anything like that that has flavor that's calorie free. She didn't tell me about those opportunities. I thought at that time in my life, I thought pop was pop and flavored water had calories. Like, I really thought these things. So even when I had cravings, I literally just had to take my mind and work through that. But looking back now, if I would have known those things, like a Diet Coke a day would have been so nice. It would have been like the thing to look forward to. But that's kind of like what prepping looks like. And so then you go through this entire hard prep, and then you have the competition. So I'm pulling up my phone here, the different bodybuilding categories you can go into. And it depends on your build, your muscle mass, your fat percentage, and all of that. But there's different divisions. These divisions are things such as bikini division, fitness division, figure division, wellness, women's physique, women's bodybuilding. And I did the bikini division just because bikini is kind of like your more smaller bodybuilding size. So as I'm going through prep, the week before prep, you have to drink, and I don't even know if they do this anymore today. Again, this is more old school bodybuilding structure, but they did this thing called, what is it called? Water something, and water loading, I think. And you drink 2 gallons of water a day for 3 days before your show. And it's the worst thing ever. You are literally carrying around a gallon of water everywhere you go, drinking every second you can to get through your 2 gallons of water a day. And so that happens. Then the day of your show, you go and you have to get your fake tan, which, by the way, they make you look orange. It's normal. You have your spray tan, then you go to makeup, and then you're in front of this crowd, and then you're ready to perform. So you go, your name gets called, you're doing your poses, you're in your heels, you're in your $400 bikini. Yes, I said $400 bikini because did I forget to mention this is a very, very, very expensive sport. You have to pay for all your coaching. You have to pay for the specific food. You have to pay for a $100 to $400 bikini to wear one time. You have to pay for your makeup, your hair. You have to pay for the competition itself. I think there's like a certain like license thing. I'm not really sure what it's called anymore. I forget. You have to pay for that to be able to compete. So very, very expensive. So you're in front of the judges, you're doing your posing, you have your audience, you have your supporters yelling, and then just kind of go to a side. Then there's call outs at competition. So pretend you're at competition. Then there's call outs. First call out is the best. That means you're like the top notch on the judge's eye. And then second call outs and so forth. So during my experience, I got first call outs. So that means, yes, like I'm on the judge's top picks. That's awesome. So I get first call outs and I think like I'm going to place. Like I worked my fucking ass off and I'm the smallest one here. However, I did not place at all. And I was crushed. And the judges basically said, because they give you reviews, they basically said I didn't have enough muscle. And I wish I would have taken the time to build that muscle. I wish my coach would have told me to take that time to build the muscle. But it didn't happen. So going forward, I decided to exit the sport because what they don't tell you is the hardest part about this sport is the reverse dieting. Now, reverse dieting is what happens after your competition. And after your competition, you've worked your ass off. I'm weighing at this point, I think it was 107 pounds. And I'm starving. I'm literally starving. And what they don't tell you is you can't go back into normal eating. That's not a thing. And if you do, you will gain so much weight so quickly and your metabolism will get even more fucked up. They don't tell you that during this process, hey, by the way, this process is already hard, but you're also fucking up all your hormones. You're also fucking up your brain connections of when to read when your body's hungry and when it's full. You're fucking up your metabolism. Have fun. Have fun getting that all back. They don't tell you that. So after I competed, she was like, okay, now we have to reverse diet. And I sat there in silence, like, what's reverse dieting? What does that consist of? So what she had me do is when you're reverse dieting, you have to then train your body to eat again. That sounds so crazy, but that's the truth. You have to train your body to, hey, this is a carb. I have to train you on how to process a carb now. And your body shouldn't have to do that. We were born to process carbs. But once you fuck all this up in your body because of competing, guess what you have to do? You have to train your body on how to fucking live again. That's what you have to do. So during reverse dieting, you slowly increase your carbs every single week so your body can slowly learn how to process a carb again. And this is the hardest part because your body gets a little bit of carbs. I think I started at 30 grams. And if anyone knows, 30 grams isn't even enough carbs for your brain to function properly, scientifically. But you get this little bit of carbs and your body's like, yes, thank you so much. I want fucking more. But you know you can't have more because you have to train your body properly. So then you have to take your mind and you have to shut it off and say, I'm sorry, body, you only get a little bit today. And you have to shut off your hunger. You have to shut off everything. And I remember in the midst of my reverse dieting, I texted my coach and I said, I'm not okay. And I said, I'm going to binge. And binging means that you're about to eat all this food uncontrollably, not stop yourself because you are so hungry. And she said, okay, let's work through this. She said, I want you to grab a banana and I want you to grab some peanut butter. And that was very filling, and that was really satisfying to me because I didn't get bananas because there were too many carbs. I didn't get 2 tablespoons of peanut butter because it was too much fat, because you were restricted so much. So that was the hardest part of this whole phase, was the reverse dieting. And then after you pay your coach enough to help your body learn how to process all these things, then your coach leaves you and you're kind of on your own. And then you have to learn your body cues again. And you have to make sure your hormones are balanced again. Because another thing that people don't tell you is when I was cutting, right, let's back it up a phase. When I was cutting, I lost my period. And you lose your period, most girls do, because you don't have enough body fat on you to even have your body properly function. And so afterwards, you have to teach your body, and you have to try to get all your hormones in line so then your body can start a period again to be able to properly function. And after all this happened, I looked back and I realized, like I had mentioned earlier, like, yay, I'm so happy I'm this small now. But guess what? I was that small and I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't happy. And that was such a wake-up call for me, because I thought in my mind, with an eating disorder past, if I could just get this small, my life would be so easy. I would be so happy. I'd be on top of the world. But what happened was I got that small, and now my mind connections are fucked up. My hormones are fucked up. I don't have a period. All these things. And I was like, well, you did it, Joe. You're this small. This is what you wanted. And guess what? You're not happy. And a light bulb went off. And I remember thinking, like, my size had nothing to do with my happiness at all. It was my mind. It was my mind that needed training, not my body. And I commend people who go through being a bodybuilder competitor and being able to do it healthy, and have them be able to actually do it because they love it and because it's a passion and because that's where their heart is, versus people who just do it to have something to show for it. And I think that's really where I went wrong. And I think in the future, I think that I would be able to do a competition like this and be happy, because I understand the process now. My mind is in a healthy position. I know what to look for, like what's about to come. But the bodybuilder world can really damage you. And then, not to mention, after being 107 pounds or whatever your stage weight is, when you go back into normal eating, you're gaining healthy fat. A lot of competitors get body dysmorphia because they're so used to being this small for competition that they don't even know what a normal physique looks like on them. So it can cause a lot of binge eating issues. It can cause a lot of body dysmorphia issues. It can cause a lot of negative thoughts. It can cause so much things to your hormones, like I've already mentioned. Excuse me, sorry. And people who look at competitors, they don't really understand that that's what we have to go through. And I think that people, before they decide to compete, need to take a step back. Make sure that they know what they're signing up for, because I didn't. And it really messed me up. So that was just, I don't know, episode 3. I don't know how you guys feel about bodybuilding or my story on bodybuilding, but I did want to make awareness of the issues it can cause in a body, and the reasoning why I did it and why I did it for the wrong reasons, and what bodybuilding looks like and what eating the same thing 5 times a day looks like. And it's not easy. The easiest part of bodybuilding is the workout. I promise you. It's not the cardio that's hard. It's not the lifting that's hard. It's your mindset, and it's the food intake that's limited, and the reverse dieting, and the body dysmorphia, and the having to relearn your hunger cues. That's what's hard. And I don't think people realize that. And I wanted to have this conversation for anyone who's listening, or anyone who has the itch to be a bodybuilder, that they're aware of what it truly takes, and that way they can be 100% ready to take that leap if and when they decide to take it. But anywho, that's what I have for you today. And I hope that it just kind of opened up your eyes. I hope that some of you learned something. I hope that you could take a grain of salt, whatever that is. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you again for tuning in on Life Unfiltered with Jo. And we will see ya.